Slouch here. They do get behind a little bit, but we've also seen them with aggressive strategies on camp invades. So as much as we saw that used against them in a previous series, I think they might be able to turn the tables here in their own favor.
There is one thing that I want from Simplicity. I really, 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 really want it. Do not let HeroesHearth get the Diablo Tassadar Hanzo. They are ridiculous with it, and this is one of the maps where they excel with it. At like level 10, I think it was their series versus Team 12, but it might have been Space Station. They hit that combo, they hit 10. Malthael, we talked about McIntyre's awesome Malthael. He got a Death Shroud, he tormented, he just sat on a gate in mid. They had the long-range Dragon's Arrow with the follow-up APOC while everyone ran in. They got such a solid team fight at 10. They got a Dragon Knight, and from there, they had won the game, pretty much, with that one combo at 10. It is so strong for them here.
That's sometimes all it takes for these teams when they are able to wrestle control, whether it be through macro or whether it be through one big epic combo. It does happen. This is an interesting start to the draft. Hanzo banned out instead of Genji. I like that counter. It looked like they were willing to potentially let Genji through. Instead, Genji banned out by HeroesHearth. Tyrael, however, picked up by Simplicity. You gotta imagine Greymane's one of these first two picks for HeroesHearth, right?
Oh, of course. You gotta imagine it. But I like seeing that Simplicity says, no, 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 you don't get to run that combo against us. And that has been one of my biggest questions is, you know, similar to how we asked who's going to challenge BBJ, can he keep up with the same level of play off of the Uther Rhaegar that we know from the team? And we've sort of seen a little bit of that, but also, when are they going to keep stopping Simplicity or HeroesHearth from running this composition, this combo that is just rocketing them through so many different teams?
It almost, like, Simplicity felt really close in that first game. If we go down the Uther round again, I would not be surprised at all if we see another Lunara
Definitely.
here. They go Greymane Malthael, and I think that they kind of want to see. This is an opportunity for HeroesHearth if they do want to change it up. They could potentially let that support go through. Since they can get last pick, they can see, all right, we pick Uther or Rhaegar or whatever's left over. If you're on Simplicity's side, can you kind of disrupt that?
They might want to take Uther, and that way there is just not, you're really relying on the Rhaegar, which we've already seen HeroesHearth be okay with the Greymane and a Malthael. But they might take the Uther here. They've got a lot of invulnerability. They could have a lot of dive. Maybe we see them have more of a melee assassin style composition or just super melee focused, kind of like we've seen from Tempo Storm on this map. There's some options there. I don't know though. It's for Simplicity getting that, you're sort of even further limiting yourself on wave clear, but Tyrael can kind of slow things down in lane with his shielding of minions, and there's still some wave clear picks, like maybe we get a mage here for Simplicity.
I'm really trying to think about this solo lane, because Dahaka does not do incredibly well. We got our Jaina again.
Yes.
It's been a bit, but we finally have it back in the fold for Simplicity. But Dahaka is safe. But if I want to try and really disrupt that, I take Dahaka out of the equation and I'm like, try Leoric, try something else, whether it's an ETC again. Force them onto something that they haven't fared as well on and see if you can disrupt that.
What do you think about Simplicity running Airho with that Tyrael in the top versus
It's possible.
the Malthael?
It requires some assistance, though. That's the thing, is like Tyrael's okay in the solo lane. He won't really win out, but he can hold, especially with that level 1 shielding talent.
Yeah.
So it requires rotations up, and then that requires a completely different dynamic. And what we've seen teams do with Greymane in the early going is if they see you over-rotate to one lane, they will instantly push in, take your structures, and be like, thanks for the trade, because Greymane will win out greater than any other hero in this current meta.
That's true. And with that Jaina, they can try to slow that down a little bit, but maybe we'll see them kind of adopt more of a focus in the top lane. As a result, for Simplicity in general, it seems like a lot of times the reason why they get behind on Dragonshire is they often are responding to wherever their opponents want to siege. So I would like to see them make sure that they're getting some picks so that they can still try to do as well in the early game, try to make sure that they're the ones dictating the pace of the game versus HeroesHearth as they've done in the last 2 games, because they've been markedly better in that.
I was just casually browsing some Jaina stats because Jaina lit it up in the first few weeks and everybody is on the Jaina hype train. She's fallen off significantly, currently sitting at 9 and 10 in North America. And then globally, she fell down to about 58% coming into this weekend. A far cry from her earlier 65+% in those first few weeks.
Yeah, it seems like everyone in general has cooled off from Jaina a little bit, but not Simplicity and not Zuna. That's the thing to keep in mind. ETC ban from Simplicity. And we had the Malfurion ban for HeroesHearth. Malfurion, a great combo to go with Jaina, and Simplicity has run that double support before with the Uther and the Malfurion. So for that, HeroesHearth just trying to make sure that they are, that might have been a little bit strange, but it is Dragonshire, so I guess he would have been rotating around quite a bit, trying to leave the supports together with the Jaina and whoever else is there.
Speaking of Jaina, mage damage with spell armor, Anubarak was tied for most played for Ishbu in terms of heroes played. We've seen a lot of cocoons on the Uther style because it takes away the Divine Shield and then the mage counter. You think we might see an Anubarak here?
I think it's possible, especially because the Tyrael 2 trying to cocoon that. I will say that statistically, Anubarak not as favored at all for HeroesHearth. When HeroesHearth have tried to run that Anub trying to like burrow charge in, impale, yeah, and then everyone else go in from that, 0 out of 4, right? And then the Diablo 4-0. So there's very marked differences in which warriors are working out for HeroesHearth. We're gonna get a Blaze though, that's pretty neat.
I like it. I mean, there's one way to fight ice with fire. You can even make a song about it if you want to. But the Diablo in particular, at level 7, he does have the spell armor talent that you can go into based off how many souls you have. So if you're worried about the potential burst damage, that's a really good option too. The Diablo 100% warrior, Anubarak 0. And if you really want to try and mix things up, bust out a Kerrigan, as we've known here in North America already.
Kerrigan and Dahaka, super duper tanky here for Simplicity.
Oh, hold on.
Questions on who's gonna play what? I don't think there's. You know what? I honestly don't know. I'm not even gonna try to guess.
I'm willing to bet that Zuna will be on Kerrigan.
You think so?
I think.
Yeah,
maybe.
It's either Zuna or Hosty. There's no way Erho, I think, plays Kerrigan. I think he'll be on the Dahaka. King Caffeine playing Tyrael. So Zuna or Hosty is gonna show some Kerrigan, but man, Kerrigan, Jaina together, so old school. You've got Uther stuns behind that. That's gonna pack a punch right from the start of the game. You've got Dahaka who can stalk into. They're gonna be trying to do those camp invades.
That was, again, when I was able to talk with King Caffeine, Blaze is gonna be the main tank as we have Medivh. That will be one way to mitigate some burst damage.
Yes, it is.
But King Caffeine was like, look, we've been around the block. We've all been around for so long that we can still go back to older style compositions. This was something he told me this past week. This, as you said, very old school, mix in a little bit, slightly new flavor with Dahaka, but still, this is super old school here.
Pretty old school to see the Kerrigan Jaina. You just add an Arthas to that and we would be all the way back in Alpha. But there's a little bit of the old stylings versus a little bit of the new though. We've got a Malthael for HeroesHearth. Blaze is the big deal. Having Medivh too, I think this is the first Arthalon Medivh game we've seen, but I'm not positive on that.
My favorite takeaway from Open Division Medivh with Arthalon was the amount of times. And again, I think maybe a bit more respect here towards tougher competition, but he would literally just, the plays that you see that make it on social media, he's trying to make all of those in one game, right? He's like, what if I portal over the wall? Let's see if I can do a little bit. We'll see if he gets punished for it, whether he tries to pull it off. That's my thing to watch.
Never has a Medivh play been so exciting to me than the time Rich tried and failed to leyline seal, steal away bruisers. I don't remember if it was Ballistics or Tempest. Dropped it down, didn't get to, forced back, barely ravened up in time. Then everyone left him alone. He dropped back down, threw out a stack of Master's Touch and walked away. But it was so freaking fun. All right, who's on this? Zuna is the Kerrigan player, which swaps Hosty over to the Jaina.
When in doubt, when it comes to these flex style, like, all right, we got to have the ultimate X factor. It normally is Zuna's like, let me on it. Let me do something. It either looks amazing or it looks a little bit rough around the edges. We'll see how that goes.
Put me on a hero I can carry.
That's pretty much the name of the game with Zuna.
So Arthalon's Medivh trying to stave off all that aggression of Simplicity with leyline seals, with the Force of Wills, And they have the ancestral healing capabilities of Rhaegar too. The Blaze is the big question for me. You know, you talked about the spell armor of a new Barak. He has some spell power reduction at 13. With the suppressive fire, that might be an option for him versus the Jaina. There's a lot riding on the Jaina behind all of that. So many melees of Simplicity. But Hosty is a really good player to have that kind of pressure on his shoulders, I would say.
For sure, 100%. And we had mentioned a bit about potentially early aggressive invades. With a Raven flying above you, it's really hard to sneak in and be like, oh, I think we're just going to come over here and casually try and steal this. Like, do you realize the spray he's putting down?
He's lag force. It's so, has he left Raven form yet?
He's trying to give Schwimpy a run for his money in terms of sprays per minute.
It's amazing. His job is mobile ward this game. Keep an eye on the death ball. I know that death ball's in the bottom, taking over the shrine. Malthael will pick up at the top.
Arthelon goes way back with a lot of those players, so you know they're probably both having a little bit of fun with that.
Oh yeah.
But probably more Arthelon than anybody else right now.
Created Naventic with Zuna and Airho. Oh, first combo hits. Ishbu on that Blaze in danger. So many body blocks. But thankfully for him, a portal was there as Arthelon was like, okay, fine, I'll leave Raven form if I have to.
Do what you gotta do. Both shrines were momentarily channeled there by HeroesHearth. You can see in the top left corner, McIntyre getting the camp while Urho is gonna deal with the top lane. So that should win out, but Zuna, he's gonna go sniffing around, see if he can find somebody. Tyrio, of course, can just Eldruin's over.
Get it, portal there, force of will too. They don't want to give up this camp, but McIntyre is going to die as soon as he steps one big toe out through that portal. They're still fighting over this. Ishbu finally goes forward. HeroesHearth lose not only that, but the amount of aggression from Simplicity while they held on to both of the shrines. Simplicity are going to get a Dragonite too.
They got the Dragonite. The timing that they came back through actually ate the damage and the stun. And so that was very unfortunate. And Simplicity, they weren't able to invade that early siege camp, but they got the Knights, they got the Dragon Knight, and this is how Simplicity has to play the early game with this composition. They've done it, they've got themselves a full level lead, they've opened up this map really early.
Man, I am so pumped to see Simplicity play this series as they have. They lost the last 2 games, but even still in the early game, playing more aggressively, using the aggressive stylings that we know and we appreciate from this team to not let themselves fall behind in rotations. Yes, respect the macro game, but still be willing to draft things that allow you to play aggressively and punish anybody who's out of position. Early Dragon Knight got some towers down. The top lane too, that's going to be nice for the Dahaka for Simplicity, but the big deal is that level lead for Simplicity. And the second kill for Simplicity.
Got the takedown. I'm imagining there was some combination of a tongue, a stun, and a big old burst of Jaina.
Bruisers in the top. Potentially going to do more with that Dahaka there. Simplicity kind of everywhere. Also working on the Bruisers in the bottom lane, and there's double giant camps. So if this takes a while, though, we see Rhaegar starting to work on that camp. Simplicity go get their giants? Are they checking in? They're checking in. Calf sees this. Arthelon around 2 to bail out the team. But HeroesHearth playing a little dangerously, a little risky here. Don't want to lose anybody else now to Simplicity because Simplicity have that lead.
I mean, they take that fort wall down. They get the siege giants coming in. I mean, this is pushing heavily towards 10 very early in this game. We're looking at almost 2 levels, and knowing Simplicity, they've got their finger on the trigger. The minute they get 10, they will look to go in. There's an outside shot. No, never mind. It's going to be Sanctification. I was going to say, they might just go all in right away, but that would be a little bit too all in.
Yeah, you saw HeroesHearth back off from that, also backing away from that bush. That was a prime brush stock location to set up for a drag should he go in. HeroesHearth just going to have to play patiently for the next couple of minutes. Shrines will be activating in 20 seconds. First thing on the agenda, deal with this bottom push and get heroic abilities. From there, they can start to try to make the comeback in this game.
They can. They're having to bring Greymane down. This is terrible anti-siege when you think about Medivh. He has to hit heroes in order to get any type of damage in response. With level 10 here, the advantage, they were able to push right in. The shrines are active, so they're going to fall back. Dahaka already going to the top lane. I don't think Malthael can make it there in time. He's going to try to. Urho unable to keep him off. He does land the tongue, but...
He has isolation too, just depending.
That's a
little
terrible
ring around the rosy in style as Kerrigan started to move up. No 10 still for HeroesHearth. They're going to do their darndest to stall this out, using that little bit of time while the flames are ignited on the oil spill. They've still been able to stall it. There's another portal.
He's gonna, oh, I was like, is he going to come back through? Is he going to come back through?
There's the channel, but HeroesHearth have stalled until they're about to heroic abilities at least.
Yeah, this fort should go down, which will just further open up the map and extend that experience lead. I'd like to see them maybe just push in, take another keep wall, maybe even rotate up to the top fort, but that's going to be a lot harder with Hosty under assault in the backline, Gilly.
Yeah, already got the cleanse. That's down. Divine Shield used too, getting him out of that Tormented Souls, but it's K1 Pro who's in danger with the Tormented Souls there too, pulling back in. But Zuna had a target, got kicked away by the Dragon Knight. Malthael falls. Still the 1-for-1 now as Blaze is the next target for Simplicity.
Now they can open it up. They ended up losing Uther in the middle of that, but got good trait value. They'll take this mid fort down. Zuna already rotating up to the top with King Caffeine. That should take the top fort down. They're not even going to get this mid fort. They peeled off maybe a bit early, and without the support makes this much more difficult.
At least they're getting top. No one started to rotate up to deal with that yet. Blaze just now coming back online as Simplicity brings in Hosty for the tri-lane here. They have a Blizzard, so with that they'll be able to get that. Have King Caffeine here too to help the team get away with those smites. And Uther was rotating up just in case. 13-11, 2-level lead for Simplicity as they've taken out 2 forts, almost a third. They've opened up this battleground beautifully.
I think they need to try and focus on getting that one last structure down and controlling the lanes. There's not a lot you can do when all the forts are down. You have to try and take advantage of that talent tier, and they'll have it for a minute or two until 13 is obtained by HeroesHearth, but you need to play towards that 16. You need to continue to make sure you're in all lanes, potentially look for 1 or 2 picks, but you have to be aware of the counter pick, and that's what HeroesHearth is going to try and set up with the potential Medivh portals in. But getting structures down, forcing out rotations is going to be the name of the game for Simplicity. Instead, they're prioritizing camps for the moment, but they need to use the camps to get structure value elsewhere.
Well, once they have Bruisers, they'll have dealt with the Bruisers of HeroesHearth, and those can push in pretty far on the top of that top fort being done, so that might be the place where we see them go back down to the mid, take down that fort, push out that lane, be ready for the next Dragon Knight phase. But HeroesHearth using this time in the bottom. Simplicity, I think, have sniffed this out, though. They're starting to head in. There's a lot of people gone. We're going to see a stalk in from Dahaka. It's too late to get the camp. We'll see if he can get the fight started, though.
He can. He's going to go through. Let's see if he lands anything on. The isolation hit, but right as he goes through the portal, they're going to see if they can get on this. McIntyre trying to spread a little bit of the mark. Simplicity, they haven't done a lot in the soak. They didn't get that mid fort, and they didn't get a pick. So maximizing the efforts. They didn't quite get what they wanted, but they do still find themselves 2 levels up.
That was very close for comfort, though, for HeroesHearth. Thank goodness they had that Medivh to get them out with the portal. Otherwise, we would like to see Arrow be able to take somebody back to the team. But with that, HeroesHearth get to 13 in time for this phase. Drag on the dog. Crow in here, too. Cap's going to show up. Everybody heading up to this top lane for a fight, J-How.
Everybody's coming up. Kron getting the heals there. BBJ does have the Ancestral. He's under assault, but we've got a fight breaking out in the bottom side. Bunker is out as well. D-Shield has already been used on Jaina, who's returning damage back against HeroesHearth.
Yeah, the leyline seal was pretty good, but not enough to save that BBJ. Medivh goes down too, and that'll be a reset on the Masters touch stacks. Nothing you want to hear as a Medivh player. Simplicity had Zuna far in the back line. Malthael was trying to do the same, and now he might pay for it as he uses the jukes over the wall. A lot of flames will dissuade Simplicity from chasing any further, but on the back of that, just like before, Simplicity gets a fight, they have one shrine, they go up to the other one, they get the shrine really quickly, they use a little bit of shenanigans, team fightery to push back HeroesHearth, and they get a Dragonite from it, and there goes that final fort.
Team fightery. They're going to have 16 when they take this bottom tower out. I wonder if they'll be aggressive. I think it's up to them to potentially get a keep out of this. I mean, they haven't really gotten as much as they wanted out of the other than the first objective. The second one, not so much. They have 16. They have to be careful not to die. The Dragonite already pushing in. They don't have minions here just yet, but the Blizzard zoning into the Kerrigan combo.
Yeah, that was a huge combo, but once again, thankfully, Medivh exists for HeroesHearth. He saves them, but even just all of the damage, the aggression that Simplicity put on was enough to push back HeroesHearth long enough to heal back up. That gave time for the keep. That's not just the keep, though. Simplicity are pushing forward. They have 16 to the 13. They're looking to see if they can get some kills along with this. McIntyre is the target, and they take him down. That's one. The Dragonite is almost gone, J-How, but the core shielding has fallen.
The shielding has fallen, and Zuna's just like, let's go. They're going in. Crowan's going to go down. Zuna and team are going in right now, and that is 2 members down. The core shield is down, but Blaze and team trying to hold.
The minions, though, lots of people starting to take damage. Sanctification was used, but it's largely from Simplicity, hoping they can get more kills. The core at 50% and continuing to go down. Nobody from Simplicity at all has fallen, as it's 10% Simplicity. Win on Dragonshire less than 12 minutes into the game.
Yeah. So let's go back to the moment where that game just opened right up for Simplicity, and one of the keys to victory was to take this composition and invade early. Siege Giants were just spotted out. Arthlon sat there. We saw a lot of sprays put out. But then they're like, what if we go up? Zuna just literally, he didn't even wait. He walked all the way around up to the Knights on the opponent's side. Tyrael comes over. He can Eldruins in. They two-man that. We see HeroesHearth, they come back through the Medivh portal, get hit by the stun and the damage. And then after that, it's like Simplicity's like, look, we're shifting into 5th gear. We're putting our foot on the pedal, and they never let off. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, they've really got to try. And they're like, what if we just like fight our way through this? This is what we do. We've got Kerrigan. Zuna, whenever he's feeling himself, he's just like, let's go. There at the end, most teams will probably back off. You look for 1 pick. They get the 1 pick on the Mouth Hill. Simplicity literally just was like, let's go.
I like the let's go, because I don't think that that's at all how he was sounding in comms once he got that combo. There's no way that Zuna wasn't going crazy in comms. But I think it's awesome. You know, this is a team that has people who have played many different roles. K1 Pro himself has played every role but main tank, and we can chalk that up to him always being